The shutter speed on your camera does two things. It controls the light and it allows you to freeze the action or create some blur. That's essentially it, but I think there's some more context we need to explain. So I got my kids to help us, kind of.
Break.
Welcome. My name is Ryan and I'm a videographer and photographer based in Toronto, Canada. And this is Clutch Creativity, where I share tips from my creative journey to help you level up and also build a community where we can learn from each other. So today we're going to talk about shutter speed, but we really need to kind of touch on what that shutter speed is a part of. And so the shutter speed is a part of this system called the exposure triangle. And shutter speed is one of the things, but the other two things are your aperture and your ISO. And in order to understand all three of them, I think it's also good to understand them together as a whole. The exposure triangle is this delicate balance of those three things, and once you have your exposure set, if you change one of these settings, you affect the others. And so you'll have to change one of the others to compensate for the change, or you'll have to change both of the others, and that really depends on what you want to do. Today we're going to talk about specifically the shutter speed. So what's the shutter speed? First we got to talk about what the shutter is. So your sensor is that little square right behind your lens that captures the image, and when that sensor is exposed to light, it will capture whatever image that is in front of it. Normally that sensor in most cameras is blocked by a curtain, a metallic curtain, and that's called your shutter. When that shutter is moved, it opens up and it lets light come in, and then it can capture the image. However, it doesn't open at the same speed every time. Based on how fast or how slow the curtain opens, it has different effects. So if the curtain's open for longer, then more light comes into the sensor and makes a brighter picture generally. And also if it closes quickly, then of course less light is touching the sensor and you'll have a darker image in general. There's a secondary purpose for the shutter. If the shutter has a slow speed, then the light, of course more light comes in, but also the image, if it's moving, it can be blurry because it's not just capturing that fraction of a second, but several fractions of seconds, right? Unless the image is still, then it's okay. But if you have a faster shutter speed, even some of the fastest moving things can be frozen in time. So the two things you want to learn about your shutter speed is, one, it controls how much light comes in and makes your image brighter or darker, and it also controls how blurry or how frozen in time your image is. So when would you use low shutter speeds? You would use low shutter speeds in darker environments, or you would use shutter speeds that are lower for things that are either not moving or not moving very much. So that would be like still life, that would be portraits, that would be even landscapes. And the third reason you would want to use a slow shutter speed is if you're taking a picture of something and you want to convey that that thing is moving, or you want the motion to be blurred. Because of this third use, you can find a lot more creative applications of the shutter speed. And so whenever you see those pictures of the cars on the highway going through and you see the streaks, or you see like a milky waterfall or just very smooth water in the picture, those are where people are using longer shutter speeds and that motion gets blurred into this kind of like misty or streaky kind of effect. So when do we use faster shutter speeds? Well, the opposite of slow shutter speeds is that when we use it for fast action. So if you want to freeze something and let it be sharp, so in like sports or people are dancing, something's moving really fast. Also, if you yourself are moving and you want to capture something and not have it blurred, then yeah, you would use a faster shutter speed. And of course, the second reason is if you're in a super bright environment and blurring the action is not a factor for you. So in bright sunlight, really bright daylight conditions, or even just lighting conditions in general where you don't need as much light and you don't want to blur the action. Two more things. If you've taken the time to build your image and you've made it look good, but you decide to change your shutter speed, then remember you have to change one or two of the other settings to get your image properly exposed again. Second thing, if you're getting value from this video, I would really appreciate the like so that I can know if you're enjoying it and so that others can get to see this too. That's it for now. I'm going to talk about aperture in the next video, but in the meantime, watch some other videos and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Are you watching me?
Yeah, we're watching you through the camera now.
Is this the last picture?
No, we have more to do.